A ton of Pokemon out there have really cool facts to their name that make them all the more interesting and cool. So in this video, I have gathered up some of the coolest facts about 100 different Pokemon in order to share them with you. Starting with Porygon, Porygon was included into the games as a joke because someone told Pokemon creator Satoshi Tajiri while developing the original Pokemon games that the Game Boy was outdated and he should be making games with more polygons. So he created Porygon to add more polygons into the games. Phantump was designed by James Turner, and according to him, it was based on a design that he had to create during his interview process at Game Freak prior to being hired. Teddiursa was once Johto's starter Pokemon. It originally began as the fire starter Honoguma before slowly being reworked and repurposed into the normal type we have now. According to official Pokemon artwork, Gothita is classified as a cow Pokemon, as it was featured in this artwork with other cow-like Pokemon to commemorate the Year of the Ox a few years ago. Minccino is a Pokemon who likes to keep things clean, according to its dex entries, and as a fun little reference to this, it can be found in the same places where the trash Pokemon Trubbish can also be found in Pokemon Black and White, as it apparently is trying to clean things up. Lunatone was originally a solo standalone Pokemon, according to recently leaked information on the games, and the idea to make a sun Pokemon to go along with it didn't come along until later. Spheal is round because it originally was based on a bowling ball. Additionally, it also had a penguin Pokemon to go along with it that was based on a bowling pin. But sadly, this Pokemon, as well as this concept, would later be scrapped. There is a scarf worn by the character Serrano in the Indigo Disc DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet that resembles Honedge. This was likely meant as a tease for Pokemon Legends ZA, which is set in Honedge's native Kalos region since the game was announced shortly after the DLC's release. Snubbull has been at least 3 different types over the course of its existence. It was originally a normal type, it then changed to Fairy type in Generation 6, and in the 1997 demo for Gold and Silver that was leaked several years ago, it was originally a Psychic type. Dragapult's tail actually contains a pretty cool reference. It most likely has a transparent tail as a part of its design because it is based on an extinct animal known as the Diplocalus, and a complete tail of the Diplocalus has never been found. Here's a bonus fact for you. This video is being made possible with the help of today's sponsor, Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. These yummy subscription boxes bring treats that come directly from Japan right to your front door. And as someone who's been getting these boxes for a while now, I can say that they are definitely packed with some really good stuff. Whether it's a unique flavor of Kit Kats that you won't be able to get at the grocery store, or authentic tea that helps you experience the true culture of Japan, these boxes are an awesome way to stock up on goodies and enjoy an authentic Japanese experience without even having to leave your couch. Now is also a great time to grab a box because this month's boxes are themed around the Sakura season, which is one of the most iconic times of year in Japan, and it also results in some super tasty treats. You even get a piece of authentic tableware from Sakura Co., which is a monthly Japanese artisan snack box, and this month it features this beautiful Sakura-themed dish. It even directly supports the channel when you grab a box too, which is super appreciated. So to order your own, you can click the link in the description, and when you use code HOOPS at checkout, you'll even get $5 off your first box. They also make great gifts as well, and take all of the guesswork out of picking something fun and unique that a friend or relative would love. So be sure to check that out with the link below, and a big thank you to Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. for sponsoring. Bramblin and Bramblegast appear in Paldea because the area they can be found in is based on a desert in Spain that is often used as a European stand-in when filming Western movies. Bramblin's cry even sounds like the opening to the theme of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which was filmed in this location. Frigibax has a cold sore on its face, which is likely a pun, since as an ice-type dinosaur-like Pokemon, it is a cold sore itself. It's possible that Pinsir and Scyther were thought of as male and female counterparts of each other when their names were first localized into English, as not only were they version exclusives at the time, but their names end in Sir and Her respectively, potentially denoting them as male and female. Cyndaquil was not originally a starter Pokemon, and was also not originally a fire type, as a beta design that was found of it shows it having spikes on its back instead of its signature flames, and it was also not classified as a starter Pokemon at this point in development. Orbeetle, along with being based on a ladybug, has a mad scientist supervillain kind of motif. This potentially could be serving as a connection to the other ladybug Pokemon, Ledienne, who is based on a superhero. We recently got the chance to see Breloom's beta design, and it looked like this. Interestingly, according to notes from Game Freak that were attached to this design in the recent leak that it came from, its design was changed because it was thought to look too similar to a Chocobo from Final Fantasy. This next one is unique because this concerns a cut Pokemon, but seeing as how these two peanut dinosaur Pokemon have recently won over the internet's hearts, and also my own, I thought it would be interesting to mention that we actually know the reason why they were cut. According to documentation that came along with the leak of these Pokemon, it was mentioned in some notes by Game Freak that they were cut due to the evolution resembling another company's character. Personally though, I'm honestly not too sure who that character might be. Sobble's Galar Pokedex number is 007, which likely serves as some inspiration for the spy theme of its evolution in Teleon, as it's likely a reference to 007, aka James Bond. Greavard's design is basically a bunch of different puns all rolled into one. It gets its ghost type from the word grieve, which appears in its name and usually refers to grieving the loss of someone when they've passed away. Greaves is also the name for a byproduct of tallow, which is basically rendered animal fat, and it's used most of the time to make dog food, which is why this Pokemon is a dog. Finally, this tallow that produces the Greaves was also once used to make candles, which explains why Greavard has a candle on its head. When using its arm to form the handle for its teacup, Sinistea sticks its pinky out, which references the stereotypical way that one should hold their teacup when drinking tea, or when otherwise being fancy. Snover can actually grow berries on its body, something that isn't seen in the games, but only in the anime and in Pokemon Sleep. Skeledirge has a music and singing motif, which can be seen in its name, as well as its signature move, Torch Song. As a part of this theme, its head, along with its mouth and nose, actually resemble a concert stage, with the little bird on the end of its nose even resembling a singer that is on the stage. You can get Jasmine's Steelix in a trade in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and as revealed by its nickname, it's actually a different Steelix to the one she battles you with, because it's the same one that she uses for contests in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Corviknight is likely based on the generic flying silhouette when using the move Fly in earlier Pokemon games, due to its color resembling the silhouettes and its role of flying people around the Galar region. The Rhyhorn that you get from Brock in a trade in Heart Gold and Soul Silver knows the move Thunderfang, which is an egg move, referencing Brock's goal of becoming a Pokemon breeder in the anime. The two versions of Unknown's official Sugimori artwork depict the G and the F Unknown, which is likely a reference to Game Freak. Mega Charizard X is referenced somewhat in Generation 2, as in Charizard's Gold Dex entry, it mentions its tail flame turning blue when it gets angry. This is also likely something that helped to inspire Mega Charizard X as well. As revealed by the latest Pokemon leak, Noibat was originally going to be the one to use Vivion's concept of having different forms based on the environment it lives in. Victini is based on a style of cutting up apples to look like rabbits, known as Usagi Ringo. This is because it was introduced in the Unova region, which is based on New York, which is known as the Big Apple. Annihilape is most likely based on a Primeape Pokédex entry from Pokemon Sun and Moon, where it says that it can get so angry that it dies as a result. Gimmighoul's antennas are a reference to the appearance of the original item finder in Generation 1, in reference to how you have to find 999 Gimmighoul coins in order to evolve it. Tyrunt was originally a different color, but was changed according to Game Freak because in those original colors, it looked too much like Agumon from Digimon. The Delphox line are obviously based around witches, but as fire types, are likely inspired by the practice of witch burning as well, which is pretty crazy. In Gens 6 and 7, LGM can learn Steel Wing via TM, which is strange because it's neither a steel type or has wings. This is likely due, however, to Steel Wing being TM51, and therefore is a likely reference to Area 51, which these Pokemon are based around. Archeops' dex number of 567 matches the Dewey Decimal System number for feathered dinosaurs, which it is obviously based on. A beta Pokemon that later became Scraggy was cut from Generation 3, and it originally evolved into a Pokemon that was reworked into Grovyle. Xatu's appearance is based on an enemy in Stage 2 of Pulseman, another game that was developed by Game Freak from before they released the very first Pokemon games. Likewise, Octillery's appearance is based on the Octbomb enemy from Pulseman as well. Corsola's dex entry in Pokemon Silver foreshadows the Hoenn region, as it makes direct reference to Pacifidlog Town. The three dog Pokemon in Paldea, Fido, Mastiff, and Greavard, are based on the nursery rhyme The Butcher, the Baker, and the Candlestick Maker. Mastiff is the butcher, Fido is the baker, and Greavard is the candlestick maker. In Pokemon Sun and Moon, it is revealed that Diglett is based on a character that developer Shigeki Morimoto created as a kid. According to an interview, Hoothoot is based on a pet bird that Ken Sugimori had as a kid, that one day he noticed was standing on just one leg, just like Hoothoot. Jangmo-o has been confirmed as the very first Pokemon designed for Generation 7. Haxorus, in just the same way, has also been confirmed as the very first Pokemon designed for Generation 5. Thanks to recent Pokemon leaks that have occurred recently, it has been revealed that Bergmite and Avalugg once had a middle evolution. However, it was obviously cut, and we have not yet gotten a chance to see it, other than in the in-game data that confirms its existence. In a similar scenario, it has also been revealed that Natu and Xatu once had a cut middle evolution as well. Also revealed by leaks, Furfrou originally had a completely hairless, trimmed form that never made the final games. Hawlucha was originally blue before its colors were changed to what we have now, likely to better coincide with its luchador inspiration, since its final colors match that of the Mexican flag. Beldump's name comes from dumbbell, and originally it was even shaped like a dumbbell in its beta design. Delabird's national dex number of 225 is very likely a reference to Christmas, and its date of 1/2/25. To at least a certain extent, none of the Hoenn starters actually started out as the Hoenn starters, as each starter line has at least a part of it that wasn't initially planned as Hoenn starter Pokemon. For instance, Grovyle, as mentioned earlier, was originally a completely different Pokemon. Torchic originally started out as a much different Pokemon as well, that appears to also have possibly been Bug-type, and there was originally a completely different water starter before Mudkip came along later. Litwick was originally going to be a middle stage Pokemon, with Lampent as the final evolution, and then it had a pre-evolution which was cut from the games, which was planned to be just a small little flame, with the line going from a flame to a candle to a lamp. Misdreavus was designed as a reference to the Aokigahara forest at the base of Mount Fuji, which is known as a popular suicide site. Misdreavus is a ghost type, can only be found at Mount Silver in Gold and Silver, which is based on Mount Fuji, and the area outside Mount Silver was originally a forest before it was changed in the final games. According to an interview, Magnemite was the very first inanimate object Pokemon ever created. Ho-Oh was the first Generation 2 Pokemon to be revealed, and it was revealed less than 6 months after the release of Pokemon Red and Green. For even further perspective, Mew was revealed about 3 months after the release of Red and Green, meaning that they only waited 3 months after this to reveal Ho-Oh and confirm the second generation of Pokemon, which is pretty crazy. Hydrapple debuting in the Indigo Disc DLC for Scarlet and Violet is in reference to the Unova region, since that's where Blueberry Academy is, and because it's based on New York, which is also known as the Big Apple. Since Archaludon and Hydrapple are essentially counterparts to one another, they may also be based around a school theme as well, since they were introduced in the Indigo Disc, which focuses on Blueberry Academy. Hydrapple's apple motif is possibly also based on the common association of apples with school, and Archaludon being shaped like a staple remover, which initially seems completely random, makes a lot more sense in this context, as a staple remover can easily be associated with a school setting as well. The Zubat line are, surprisingly, the only Pokemon currently with the Poison Flying type combination. Nob Ogasawara, a longtime localizer of the Pokemon games, originally wanted to name Stantler Scaraboo, but was turned down by Nintendo of America. Weedle was originally planned to evolve into 2 different Pokemon before Kakuna and Beedrill came into the picture to replace them. In its original Ruby and Sapphire back sprite, Manectric's lower jaw is yellow instead of blue, like in its official art. While this looks like an error, it's actually a leftover of Manectric's beta design, where its jaw was actually yellow. There originally was a Shuckle evolution planned for Pokemon Gold and Silver. Interestingly, alongside this same data from earlier stages of the game was data for a Piloswine evolution, a Yanma evolution, and a Girafarig evolution, all of which have eventually ended up happening in future generations. So it'll be interesting to see if Shuckle will ever get to be like these other Pokemon and eventually realize its cut evolution someday. Raikou's design was very likely reworked from a family of cut electric-type saber-tooth tiger Pokemon that were cut from both Generation 2 and Generation 1, and are considered some of the best and most popular cut Pokemon that we currently know about. Based on various in-game data and other evidence, it seems to be the case that Celesteela was originally going to have an additional form at one point. Considering though that Celesteela isn't particularly important amongst the Ultra Beasts by any means, it's both unusual and intriguing in terms of what this form could have been. This next one is technically about multiple Pokemon, but a very significant amount of Unova Pokemon gained new forms and evolutions in Pokemon Legends Arceus, despite it taking place in what would become the Sinnoh region. This included Basculin, Lilligant, Zoroark, and Braviary, just to name a few, and this is because the United States, which Unova is based on, actually assisted Japan in settling Hokkaido, the region of Japan that Sinnoh is based on, with the settling of Sinnoh obviously being the overarching plot of Legends Arceus. Tropius originally had not one, but two pre-evolutions. This was revealed by the recent Pokemon Terra leak, and while we got to see what Tropius's first stage was going to look like, we still don't know what its cut middle stage was going to look like. Some Gen 1 Pokemon, like Charmander and Venusaur, were initially designed without types. In an interview, Pokemon art director Ken Sugimori mentioned that the concept of types didn't come about until partway through development, and mentioned that Pokemon like Charmander and Venusaur were revisited to give them their types afterwards, and add features like the flame on Charmander's tail and the plant on Venusaur's back. Empoleon, as an Emperor Penguin, is heavily inspired by Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte, but this goes a little deeper than you might think. While Empoleon's name and design obviously take inspiration from Napoleon, its height and weight also do too, as they are nearly identical to Napoleon's height and weight. Necrozma has an indirect connection with the Wizard of Oz. Its name was very likely inspired by Project Ozma, a scientific experiment that was designed to search for extraterrestrial life, which obviously fits the alien theme of Necrozma. In turn, this project got its name from Princess Ozma, who comes from the Wizard of Oz series and is the ruler of the Land of Oz. While I don't believe it is 100% confirmed, it appears as if Floette originally was going to have a split evolution that was based on gender, and it would have evolved into a different form of what would become Florges, depending on whether it was a male or a female. This is due to both of these beta designs of Florges appearing to be distinctly feminine and masculine, respectively. Regarding Eevee, we currently know of 3 different ideas for Eevee evolutions that were scrapped at one point in time. Leafeon was going to be in Generation 2, but was scrapped. There were originally plans for a Poison-type evolution in Gen 2 as well, as Umbreon was originally going to be a Poison-type, and there were also plans for a Flying-type evolution in Generation 7 that unfortunately was scrapped as well. Ken Sugimori revealed in an interview that Petilil and Lilligant were originally going to be a 3-stage family at one point. However, it is not known which stage of the line was cut. Stunfisk was originally a water-electric type and was blue in color, according to Sugimori as well. Recently, we even got to see this blue Stunfisk design thanks to the recent Pokemon Terra leak. According to its Pokédex entry, Gible isn't originally from Sinnoh, and instead is originally from somewhere in the tropics. According to its Pokédex entry, Quaxly isn't originally from the Paldea region. There are confirmed to be regional variants of Shellos that exist, according to one of its Pokédex entries. However, we have not seen them to this point. The reason Celebi is obtainable at the Ilex Forest Shrine in Pokemon Crystal are due to all of the fan rumors about Celebi when Gold and Silver came out. Game Freak have mentioned that they thought the idea was cool, and that is why they included it in Crystal. Sneasel's colors in Gold and Silver are different to what its official colors actually are in its artwork and every subsequent game. This is because in Gold and Silver, Sneasel is still using the color palette of its beta design, where it did have those colors. Blastoise wasn't originally a starter Pokemon, and was brought in later on to be Squirtle's final evolution by replacing a previous evolution that was originally planned instead. Blastoise even had a different pre-evolution at this point as well that was cut once it was converted into a starter. Zigzagoon's name was the first thing that was created about the Pokemon, and then its design was formed around it afterwards, which is typically the opposite of how Pokemon are normally created. Toedscool and Toedscool seemed to have replaced a cut convergent form of Magikarp and Gyarados, since their names within the data of Scarlet and Violet refer to Magikarp and Gyarados rather than Tentacool and Tentacruel. Farigiraf's design is partially inspired by astronaut helmets. You can see this in its head area with how the head on its tail now acts as a sort of helmet, and this is due to the precursor to the modern spacesuit being invented in Spain, which Paldea is largely based on. Morlul and Shiinotic contribute to an odd trend of a mushroom-themed Pokemon being introduced in every odd-numbered generation, even to this day. You have Paris and Parasect in Generation 1, Shroomish and Breloom in Generation 3, Fungus and Amoonguss in Generation 5, obviously Shiinotic and Morlul in Gen 7, and Toedscool and Toedscruel in Gen 9. Torkoal originally had a pre-evolution, as evidenced by in-game and leaked data from Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. But it was cut, obviously, and we still to this day have not gotten to see what it looks like. Claydol at one point did not evolve from Baltoy, because this cut Pokemon was originally Claydol's pre-evolution instead. Sablei's Mega Evolution is actually based on Sablei's beta design, where it uses the same concept of holding and looking through a giant gemstone. According to an official Pokédex book written by Creatures Inc. and Game Freak, Dragonite and the rest of its line were originally classified as legendary Pokémon. This appears to have been before the definition of what a legendary Pokemon is was finalized into what we know today, and the same is also mentioned in the book about Arcanine as well, which also explains why it is known as the legendary Pokemon in its Pokédex category. According to a leak, Chimchar was originally named Scorchimp at one point in development. In the same leak, Turtwig was revealed to originally have been named Sprouttle, and Piplup was originally named Plupil. Kricketune is well known for its very interesting cry, which has become a bit of a meme over the years. The iconic Dele Dele Whoop was originally coined by a YouTube user named Senor Pac-Man.
Honestly, my favorite Pokemon is probably...
And later, this descriptor of Kricketune's cry was actually canonized when it was included in Pokemon Legends Arceus, being one of the few times when fan-made material has actually made it into an official Pokemon game. According to Ken Sugimori in an interview, Mienfoo and Mienshao were created specifically because there was a need for more fighting-type Pokemon in Pokemon Black and White. And along those same lines, it was also revealed in an interview that Frillish and Jellicent weren't originally ghost types, and were given that type for balancing purposes. So while it might sound kinda redundant to say, the balancing of the games themselves can actually affect the designs of Pokémon quite a lot. Klefki originally looked like this, and according to notes written by Game Freak about this design, it was changed because the two keys on its face that make up its eyes resemble the Vatican coat of arms, which was thought to be a little too risky to be connected to. Lickitung's evolution method of leveling up while knowing rollout is a leftover of Licky's beta design, when it looked like this, and therefore helps to explain a little better why this evolution method was implemented onto this Pokemon in the first place. Zangoose and Seviper are well known for their rivalry, and in Gen 3, this was on full display in their designs. Zangoose originally had purple claws instead of gray ones when it debuted, and this created a dynamic where the color of the markings on each Pokemon matched the claws and teeth of the other, implying that it was their rival that had made those markings, and making for an extremely cool little Easter egg. While not 100% confirmed, it is possible that Whiscash's design could have been reworked and recycled from a cut evolution of Quillfish, due to the two looking strikingly similar to one another. They have the same general body shape, the same big lips, and both of them even have a yellow marking on their forehead. Remoraid is another Pokemon who was likely carried over from Pulseman, as another enemy from that game, the Gunfish, shares Remoraid's exact concept. This could also potentially help to explain why Remoraid evolves into Octillery despite looking completely different. It could be due to both of them originating as Pulseman enemies. Recently leaked concept art of Wynot shows that they were considering a variety of different body and eye shapes for the Pokemon before landing on the design that we have today. The same is true for Duskull as well, as it has concept art showing a number of different color possibilities that were considered for the Pokemon before settling on the design that we ended up with. And there you have it. Those were 100 facts about 100 different Pokemon. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and a comment, and subscribe for more if you haven't yet. I'll see you all soon with another video, and until then, as always, thanks so much for watching, and I will smell you guys later.